Alright, hey, what's up everybody? This is John Cimino.
Efrain Martinez.
Robert J. LaQuerre.
And welcome to another Swass-Cast at swassconventions.com. Today we got a spotlight on wrestling. We're going to talk about some of our best wrestling moments and some wrestling items. I'm going to go first, guys.
Absolutely.
I'm going to think, my first experience with wrestling was, back in the early 80s, even maybe late 70s and stuff. Bruno Sammartino, Boston Gardens. But one of my greatest moments ever in wrestling was in Cape Cod, Massachusetts. One of those stinky, wrestlers, like, you got a bunch of...
Jobber.
Yeah, the star of the whole event was Dr. D. David Schultz. Oh. Anybody might know him from the guy that slapped the guy on 2020, Don Osterlund or something. But he wasn't really that big of a guy.
Had some great matches with Bret Hart when Bret Hart first began wrestling.
And he had some great matches with Hogan, And but anyways, the thing I missed my calling of being a wrestler was one of those things that the wrestlers never showed up, right? And so it was late, and kids are getting restless, and they used to let the kids run up to the ring, and it was an outdoor event. We're all hitting the ring and stuff. So a kid goes into the ring, and then another kid and the security was kind of letting the kids do this because the wrestlers were so late. So me and my brother started doing it. We went in there too, and me and my brother were pretty seasoned at this time. We knew to take a ton of bumps because we were just at this time we were probably watching wrestling for about 5 years. So anyways, they told the other kids to get out. My brother gives me a brain buster. Then he throws me to the ropes. Then he gives me a lariat. And it was funny. I swear to God this happened. Everybody was watching us. They told all the kids to get out, and they were just sitting there watching us. And my brother picked me up, and he did like the Davey Boy Smith Bulldog before. It was actually it was the Oklahoma Stampede that Dr. Death Steve Williams did. And he gave it to me. So then finally, after he gave me this and my brother gave me the 3 count, the people started cheering a little bit. And there was about 500 people in the crowd. And then the security guy goes, "No, all right guys, come on, get out." He was laughing, and I'll never forget, one guy in the audience goes, "Let them stay there. They do it better than the real guys." That was one of my greatest moments.
Yeah, that's a good moment. Holy shit.
That is a good moment.
If for me, my favorite moment in wrestling was the NWA came to Springfield. We were just talking about that.
Oh.
And it was like 1985, and Lex Luger, had the U.S. title over his shoulder, and he came down, and he slammed it down on the ground right in front of me. And I reached down, and I put my hand down, and I fucking grabbed onto it, and he grabbed me. He's like, "Don't touch the belt!" And I'm like, this is 5 seconds later, he's wrestling, he lands right in front of me. I slapped him on the back as hard as I could. I was like, "Motherfucker, hey, Lex Luger, yes!" And he's sort of, "Don't fucking touch me!" And I'm like, "Yes! Smack me!"
In those old days when the wrestlers used to come out, I used to love to touch them.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll never forget, and then I would smell my hand. I remember Hogan, I remember touching Hogan, draping across his chest, and it smelled like cologne. Like they always smelled good.
At the same event there, Ricky Steamboat was on the side of the Springfield Civic Center, where they would come in, that rampway. There was the entrance for the wrestlers, but everybody knew that's where they came in. So we're all waiting for everybody to get there, and Steamboat gets out of the car, first of all, shorter than I thought. And he's signing autographs, and then his people tell him he's got to go. And as he's going to get inside, I stepped right in front of him, and he fucking pushed me right out of the way. And I was like, "Yes!" It was awesome, man. I had a fucking boner.
What do you got, E?
Let me see. The best match I saw live, I'll probably say Andre the Giant and Jake the Snake. The best event that
We're talking, those are the 80s, late 80s?
Yeah, that's
late 80s.
That's Springfield Civic Center back in the day. But
dark matches, with just 5 lights around, no spectacle, just like a ring and 6 lights. There's that my dad put up,
There's robberies and things happening outside the ring, but you can't see it.
There's no lights. I love it.
But I went to a WCW Nitro taping, and in the ring, I can't remember who was in the ring. He's calling out Macho Man. "Macho Man, where are you? Get out here, you lazy son of a bitch, you balding bastard!" And then all of a sudden you hear over the PA, "Oh yeah!" And then I realized it's over the PA, but it sounds a lot louder. And I turn like this, and Macho Man is standing right next to me.
Oh, no shit.
He has the spotlight in the microphone. So they start yelling, and then Macho Man just goes running down the steps, and they just start fighting.
But he started
it was kind of cool.
Awesome.
Turning, he was right there.
When I used to go to all those events, I used to go to every time Boston Gardens, every time the Road Warriors came and stuff. But I was there the very first time the NWA came to Boston, and I saw the Road Warriors. I saw, it was like a dream come true. Flair versus Barry Windham.
Yes, that
Nikita Koloff.
And he was the Widowmaker then, right? Barry Windham? Oh no, wait.
No,
he was still just.
Yeah, he was still Barry. That's when he was going for the NWA belt. When he was going, and then this was during the time when Ole Anderson was feuding with Arn Anderson.
Yeah.
And it was just the Midnight Express fought the Road Warriors, and the Rock and Roll Express fought Ivan Koloff and another guy, the Boris Yukov. It was just. It was friggin' phenomenal. But let's talk about any items and stuff. Like, what are things that we... Because we're all wrestlers back in the day. You got to just know, like, we started in the...
I actually became a wrestler, thank you very much.
Yeah, that's right, you did.
If you want to talk about wrestling moments, the first time you actually walk out of a wrestling event through the curtain and you're on the other side of the steel... For guys like me and you that worship that shit, when you're on that side of the barrier, everything is just... harmonious. I mean, I fucking walked down the aisle and I'm like, nerves were gone. Yeah. I mean, and then right there, I'm not me. I'm the natural Tyler Rhodes. Thank you very much. And, you know, and that was a moment.
See, a lot of people try to think of like what was the appeal to wrestling, especially back in the 80s. It was like comic characters come to life. I mean, you couldn't. That was the appeal. The Road Warriors with the makeup. You got the. Hogan, the dialogue, the wording and stuff.
Right. That was that WWF Sting was the larger than life guys. That's why no big men really made it into WWE WWF until later on. Later on, you know, like there was no good. But then again, you had a guy like rugged Ronnie Garvin getting the world title in NWA, and he's 5'6". Weighs 990 pounds. The belt's bigger than he is. You know, I mean...
He was a hard worker.
That's because he could wrestle. Vince McMahon did not... Let's not talk about Vince McMahon. Let's change the subject really quick.
All right, so talk about some items of things that you like.
Right away off, the first thing I think of when I was a little kid, the old Hulk Hogan Rock and Roll Wrestling cartoon. The action figures that went with the cartoon, I loved it because you could get a junkyard dog, but it was like exaggerated junkyard dog. It wasn't like now they have the action figures and they're realistic. Like he would have like the fist that was really big, like
those big rubber.
Yeah.
Oh, that was two of the ones that they were all in just one position.
Yeah.
But my thing with Hulk Hogan's Rock and Wrestling, when I saw it, I'll never forget. I waited up. I saw all the ads in the comics. They never fought. I was like, guy threw something at Hogan. I was like, here we're gonna go. He goes, you do this toxic thing. He's like, this is and I was like, oh, come on, Hogan didn't kick the crap out of him. Well, one of my big things was WWF WrestleFest at the arcade. You picked your team, which I was always the Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan, and you went to go fight the Road Warriors. That was unbelievable because I never saw the Road Warriors. Being the Road Warriors for me was like seeing them on a video and they looked so good. But later on, when I got it on the PC, I had the code so you could be the Road Warriors.
Cheating ass. That's just so cheating. You know, for me, I'm a super mark for the belts, wrestling belts. Okay. And just a couple years ago, actually when I was a little boy, I used to try to make them out of like tin foil and shit. You know, like I'd go to the hardware store and buy this very dangerous roll of aluminum that I would get home and just start to cut up with my mom's perfect, beautiful scissors, and I'm freaking cutting out, and then I'm drawing on it and shit with markers and stuff. And I take my mom worked at a clothing store, so they had the fake leather. And I go there, and I wouldn't even ask. I would just walk in, I grab it, and say, "Mom, buy me this. I'm making a belt." And like when the Ultimate Warrior won the Intercontinental title, and he turned it to the yellow background.
Yeah.
I made the yellow one.
Wait, I wanted to say something funny. When I used to wrestle with my brother and a bunch of friends in the neighborhood on mattresses, and we used to cut ourselves too. Speaking of making a belt, my brother used his orange belt. He was an orange belt in karate. He used that, and then he cut this piece of wood to say the NWA Championship, and the wood was like about this thick. So, and then we wrote on it in marker and pen.
Yeah.
So when we used to hold the belt, it would hang down like this. So no matter how tight you tie the orange belt, because we never went past. I was a white belt, I think.
I was a yellow belt twice.
And he did it, and I remember it used to hang because it was so heavy, and we duct taped the back of it, and eventually it would keep ripping off, so then you just gotta hold it on your shoulder, but it had the yellow and the orange belt.
Now let me ask you this question. What's the most money you've spent for wrestling merchandise on one item?
Go ahead.
I'm not really that much. I mean, total a lot because I used to buy all the Road Warrior stuff, the wrestling game stuff. the video games and stuff, and because the Nintendo all wrestling was great. But I would say the most I ever spent was quarters on the WWF wrestling.
Oh my God!
I mean, I used to spend so much money.
My father would give us at Salisbury Beach. We go to the same place. You've been there.
So it's pretty.
I mean, and they had it at Joe's Playland. It was like the main attraction at Joe's Playland, which is right next to Tripoli Pizza, best pizza in the world. Anyways, and I would go there. My dad would give me $20. This is for you and your brother, and I'd be like, no, this is for me at WrestleFest. Rick can have me on, like, I'll get you some ice cream, Rick, and he would go and pick up chicks. And I'm just sitting there. I'm 18. I'm just kidding. I'm like 6 years old, 8 years old, 10 years old, 12 years old. That video game, it's still there on the top floor. Yeah, but I kept that place in business those years, without question.
And talking about ice cream and wrestling, how good were those WWF ice cream bars? Those were absolutely the
They tasted great.
They had the picture,
but they had the cheesy, like, brown outline figure on it.
Oh my God!
Like, I'm eating the Macho Man.
You didn't want to eat it, but it was so good.
Let me tell you though,
and then the second they made a second wave and have the Road Warriors. I'll tell you this: to this day, right now, I never got the Road Warrior bar. Always wanted them, but I got Hogan a lot. I got Andre and stuff, but I always wanted because it came with the car.
That'd be a great Christmas present. Find a
There's nothing like ice cream with a picture of a fat wrestler on it. It just really makes you want to be healthy.
The Miss Elizabeth ones will last about 4 seconds. I'd be like,
I gotta say, another item I loved, we were talking about this earlier, muscles. Come on. They were so weird, those little pink guys. You just collected, and there's such a huge cult following.
Who would have thought that a toy that was so boy-driven would be pink? But still,
that's still so awesome. But these are the greatest things ever, and they're pink.
The first thing I remember seeing is like the box of the wrestling ring in like I think maybe it was in an Ames, and I was looking, I was like, oh my God, it had to do with wrestling. I was like, what's this? I was gone, I was hooked. And then you wanted to get more of those guys. You wanted to see who you get. It's fantastic.
And then you start coming out the different colors and stuff.
They came out with that later. Those are like the second waves and stuff. But I even ordered for the poster. I got the poster and stuff. I was just obsessed with that stuff. But hey, send us in whatever famous things that you like with wrestling, favorite wrestlers and all that stuff. Let's go right off the back really quick before we end this. Favorite wrestler of all time?
Favorite wrestler of all time? I'm a classic, Andre the Giant.
Andre the Giant.
Classic.
The Nature Boy.
Oh, Ric Flair.
You can't get any better than Ric Flair.
I'll tell you, mine kind of went Ric Flair like this too, but I have to go. I got to go with Road Warrior. Hawk was the love of my life. And the Animal was
now you get
the
into
Road
a
Warriors.
whole separate, because you can't really count Hawk as being he was a great tag team wrestler, which makes him a great wrestler, don't get me wrong, but it's such a different, Ric Flair, all the singles wrestlers, you can't really put them in the same
one. How good was that, the Great American Bash, when Ric Flair fought Hawk for the title, and Hawk won, and it was like, and then it got called back. I mean, that was fantastic. No, Ric Flair, and Hawk readily admits Ric Flair made Hawk a better, he made the role.
Anybody that steps in the ring with,
the Andersons, like, come on, one of the great matches, Chi-Town Heat of '87, the Road Warriors versus Arn Anderson.
I'm not arguing with you about whether he was a great wrestler, but greatest of all time. Really think about that before you say.
But you gotta also say like what made the impression. My three right here: Hulk Hogan, not in any order. Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, and Road Warrior Hawk.
Hulk Hogan, come on, yeah.
No, but you gotta for the impression.
My grandmother
for the impression on me though, I mean like Hawk was just, and then the Road Warrior started that whole craze of the makeup on everybody. I mean that was a big thing in the 80s.
Oh yeah, that was a big thing.
But I have to say, you gotta think about impression. You said, and you gotta say, you said Ric Flair, so I gotta say Hawk. You know?
Yeah,
you said,
I can't tell you whether or not those are right or wrong, but
all right, so there you go. Hey, we can wrestle right now and figure it out.
I agree. Let's do it.
So, Swassadventures.com. We got more coming. Keep it short for the Swass-Cast.